Hello. I had an absolute blast playing this Emerald ROM. I have no idea why it was made. This user over at DeviantArt that goes by the name of ElfCoach posted this back in 2015. The comments over at this page left me an impression that it was made just for fun, but this poorly translated Emerald hack gave me a bunch of chuckles, to say the least. Without any further ado, let's dive into the world of Pokémon Viet Emerald and the many types of confusion that lies therein. We were greeted by the familiar face of this guy who told us to wait. Apparently his name is Oda, and Pokemon here are called elves. Dr. Oda explained to us that the secret of elf is still full, and that for discover the riddle, the reason to research. Right. I guess we'll still need to discover the answer to the riddle of the language of gods that Dr. Oda is speaking, but we were on board anyway. We picked a boy as our character, naming it the usual fool. We really felt like one here. Here, Little Root Town is called Weibai. You know what, I'm not going to explain what these alien names are, we're just going to experience it as it is. We arrived in Weibai, and our mom thanked the house cleanup aviator that helped us move in. We compared the time, and I'm not even going to try to decipher what our mother just said. We were told to go next door to Dr. Oda's house, and we did just that. We went to our neighbor's room, and she introduced herself as Sue. Good night, of course. Tay hey hey. She said don't go, but she went off anyway. Girls and their mixed signals, man. So, Dr. Oda instructed us to take a look at his bag full of monsters, and we were met with 3 familiar elves. Duck the Green Elf, Roll the Pisces Elf, and Cleave the Harpo Elf. Naturally, we picked Duck, who turned out to be a Torchic, the Fire Duck. Ooh man, Pokemon names are excellent in this game. Attack moves are translated as well, so I spent about half the game checking their movesets on Bulbapedia. Fun times. Dr. Oda explained that an elf suddenly flies out while he was doing some survey and invited us to his research center. Due to our lovely competiment skills, Dr. Oda deduced that perhaps the land of our father has flown into us after all. We visited the town up north, I have no idea what it's called, and visited the Pokemon Center. The nurse here was quite rude, so we quickly left after our elves recovered and talked to this Pokemart attendant for a free potion, or the drug as it's called here. We weren't too pleased to receive this drug, so it seems. It was further explained that this drug can be used at any time, more than monster centers. Great, just what a barely turned teenager needs, a drug that can be used at any time. Beating Sue was no trouble, and we got the handbook order for the sake of research. Research. We then received some huge balls. We received the instructions for the running shoes and set off on our journey to tame many elves. This ROM has some remarkably excellent Pokédex entries, such as ducks over here. I strongly recommend you all download this ROM and see this masterpiece on your own. This disgrace came in wanting a monster, revealing that his name was Sha. Sha caught a Laloot using his huge ball, and we went back to the office. Our father told us to go to Kanatsi and fight a curator called Dode to gain a budge. Over at the woods, we met this creeper uncle who was looking for a mushroom child elf. This goon came over and introduced himself as a soldier of the Water Orchestra and challenged us to a game. We won the game, but he quickly corrected himself and changed his team's name to the Water Army. We got the sub ball from this uncle, and he went on his merry way. In Kanatsi, we met Curator Dojo of Monster Gymnasium. We beat our elves quite easily with Hash and gained ourselves a budge. We also received a TM, which was superfluous. My brain can't really keep up with this deep lore, man. As we exited the Monster Gymnasium, somebody shouted, "Gangway Walkway Passage." Cool. We met this uncle again, the one we helped in the Forest of Equalization. Out of everything in this game, Pico's name is probably the only correctly translated one. This old man with a Pico said he was from the hut close to Parallel Woods, which was also the name for the Forest of Equalization. We were introduced to the president of Terraco, Zifu Chi, and received the Elf Nabi. This guy was also pretty rude. We learned that recently, the doubtful men of Slag Rock and the Water Army have been heard doing unacceptable things everywhere. After making our way to Wudo, we had to deliver the letter to G-Man. We defeated Tangshu first, the leader of Wudo Gymnasium, triumphant over his team of Wan Li, Mash, and Sumod. We found G-Man in Stone and delivered the letter. G-Man said that our elves are a pretty good crab and left. We headed over to Kaina and visited the Museum of Sea, paying 50 Pokeroonies. After defeating the Water Army goons, the leader came and proclaimed that their name was indeed Water Orchestra. My bad, man. We were accused of being the 7th Slag Rock Fellow. He noticed our clothes weren't very Slag Rockish, so he told us that he wanted to increase the sea and that we were too young to be idealistic. or something along those lines. We gave the moral back to Director Casino and minded our own business. We got some speed after beating Sue again and visited the bike shop. The owner said that our running shoes had terrible pollution, so he gave us a Speed Bicy for free. The next couple of hours went as usual as we stumbled through the language barrier of this world. We beat Sha in a convincing win and then battled Tieshuan, who said, "Wahaha, funny." We were then given a skill machine which contained electricity. At this point in the game, as we reached the next city, I felt like it was the perfect time to add some more spice to this bowl of soup, so I randomized the ROM to give it more excitement. On top of not knowing what incarnation's name the NPCs will say, we would also gain the pleasure of not knowing what Pokemon will pop up next. This playthrough was also done on stream, so watch out for the next one and do stop by and say hi. We met up with the researcher we first met at the Forest of Equalization and received the Chif Ball. Next, we finally encountered the members of Slag Rock, who tries hard for everyone. To will also extend the ground around everyone to live happily. The leader of Slag Rock, Qian, said something about squids being the creatures who fly to land and repetitively and voling. What am I saying? He also said the ground is okay. You know what, at this point I'm just glad the ground is okay. We beat his team of Persian, Rattata and Seviper and picked up the meteor from the machine, which turned out to be an Afini right as we took it out. I've never been more confused in my life. We challenged the Jimu curator Yasha, who I think had a stroke while talking. We wiped to her team of Vulpix, Electrode and Nidoqueen, completely unexpected, but we got it the next time. We gained another budge, and we were off to challenge our father in Changfa. Here in the Changfa Curator Dojo, we were met with a very heavy roadblock. It turned out that our father had gotten himself a Gula. This Gula repeatedly decimated my team, so we took the time to grind and strategize. Since this was done on stream, one legendary viewer in chat had recommended to catch a Makuhita and evolve it into a Hariyama. The reason? Well, this legend believed that at level 25, Hariyama would learn Belly Drum and it could make the whole process easier. I had absolutely no reason to doubt this, and chat at the time agreed. We caught a Makuhita, named it Sumo, and grinded for levels. Until we found out that Hariyama doesn't actually learn Belly Drum at level 25 in Generation 3 games. An hour and a half well spent. Not gonna mention his channel name, but do leave a comment saying, "Thanks, Hariyama guy." In any case, we won the battle with our dad by spamming bulk ups and hoping for the best with Duck. We got Skill Machine 4-2, which contained Bravado, and moved on with our Hariyama in tow. Yeah, we're keeping this bad boy. We journeyed through the region, meeting Tieshuan and Zijin again, and Jiman to the east of Zijin. On our way to our next destination, we encountered the Water Orchestra/Army again, beating one of their admins in an elf battle. We chased them out of the Institute and gained power. We beat Siu's Nidorino and Leiron, which was called Door in this game, and gained the HM2, which will enable us to flying in sky, as said by Siu. We met Jiman again, who called us a monster for some reason, and eradicated this Banyu to gain the sphere. Jiman was really trying hard. The next Gymnasium Curator's randomized elves wasn't that hard to beat, so we breezed through her team and gained yet another budge. By gaining this budge, we had also gained the ability to perform the secret stunt, flying in sky. Over at the city with the department store, I can't remember for the life of me what it's called here, we met Siu again and she talked about breeding. Things got very suggestive very quickly. She had a pretty wide assortment of elves for her team, with her Espeon and Kabutops making the fight quite entertaining. By this point, I was getting the hang of the obscure names of the elf moves and moving through the battles quickly. We won against Siu again, and here we go. Time to solve the Water Orchestra/Army and Slag Rock problems. Quite possibly my favorite part of the game. We went to Mount Pyre, which was called Bonfire, and witnessed the leader of the Water Orchestra snatching the red sphere. The old lady seemed distressed, and I think that in moment of panic, she wasn't able to make any sense. Or she just couldn't speak any English. In any case, we got the Slag figure. If I hadn't played the original game, I wouldn't know what the hell I was supposed to do after this. But thankfully, this game follows the original path, so we went and used the Slag figure at this place. We made it to Qian, who called this elf the Magma Gula, and activated the Sphere of Indigo, which was just called the Blue Sphere about 2 seconds ago. Qian was absolutely upset that Gula Ball went away, and of course, it ended in an elf battle. This Mainan, actually kicked my ass for a bit, but we managed to get it done. Qian went to chase Gula, and we were off to the Water Orchestra's hideout. First, we had to disturb this interview, where Director Casino said something about an extinct tongue at Route 128. I have no idea, but this was hilarious. We finally made it to the end of the hideout. The leader's readiness was complete while we had an elf battle, meaning we failed to stop the Water Orchestra's leader. Bummer. I'd just like to show this Regirock a random trainer had. This was pretty cool. The twin dojo curators, Feng and Nan, was no trouble really. I suppose the randomizer did them a tad dirty here. Sumo did a good job here. Hope you're happy, Hariyama guy. We then went to the Space Center, where Slagrock was trying to steal the missile bomb fuel. Jimon was clearly taken aback by the nonsense in this conversation, so we teamed up with him to defeat Slagrock once more. We went to his house after, and received the secret machine's diving, or something to that effect. We found the underwater cave the Water Orchestra took over, and finally found the ultra-ancient monster, the Sea Whale. There are so many things wrong with this, I can't even... Kyogre is based off an orca, which is a dolphin. It's called a killer whale, sure, but it's called that because it hunts whales. But aside from that, calling it a sea whale really implies there are other types of whales, like river whales or swamp whales. I can't. Let's move on. Shu challenged us to another elf battle, and again, the randomizer seemed to have worked in my favor here. This battle was a breeze and the red sphere started to willfully shine by itself. Shu, like Qian, was visibly confused and had an argument that I couldn't decipher for the life of me. Something about gulas and sea whales. Back ashore, Shu and Qian was absolutely astounded at the power of the ultra-ancient elves, and Jimon told us to head to a city whose name I really can't remember. Shu still hadn't given up on calling the sea whale though. We followed Jimon for a bit, and were told to find Mr. McKelly deep inside the Wade King cave. Mr. McKelly informed us that the ultra-ancient elf is not only 2 dogs, but there was also one more somewhere. This other ultra-ancient elf dog was called Legza. We answered with the right one straight away. I don't think my brain could have taken much more of this super-physiological doses of information. We made our way to the sky post, where Mr. McKelly had opened the door for us. He then told us that Lekong would be at the top of the tower. Was it Legza or Lekong? I have no idea. We awakened Lekong, and it flew away. Gula, Sea Whale, Legza, Lekong. These ultra-ancient elf dogs sure had it rough. Beating Curator Yadong for the last budge wasn't hard, as his randomized team once again proved to be quite uneventful. Over at Victory Road, or whatever it was called here, we were challenged by this loser again. I forgot what his name was, but he had 2 Venusaurs apparently. Good on him. Near the exit of the cave, we encountered a set of trainers that had 2 Mewtwo's. Not that it was able to wipe us out, but I thought it was pretty impressive. We finally made it to the Elf League, where the Elite Four was called the Emperor 4, or something like that. There weren't much of entertaining dialogues here, as they didn't talk a lot, but we defeated Emperor Hua, Emperor Fulong, Emperor Prim, and Monster Legua, the last unmarried 4 Emperor. I don't even know what to say. Apparently, his dragon sometimes embarrasses him, sometimes rescues him. We beat his ass nonetheless. I hope he can find a wife soon. We made it to the champion, who was impressed by our elf's powers, and something about fruits. His Snorlax probably gave me the most trouble, or Tiao I should call it, but overall it was pretty smooth sailing. Siu and Dr. Oda came over, and we entered the champion's room for glory extolation. We recorded our feat in the champion's room for glory extolation and rode back to Weibai with Siu in the credits. This badly translated ROM was definitely something. But with that, I'll leave you guys with one more message. Thanks, Hariyama guy.